pain is expensive,
Hmm.
and not just physically. Let's talk about the emotional energy. Chronic illness silently steals every day.
Mm.
If you've ever felt, completely drained or numb,
Yeah,
or just maybe unlike yourself while navigating chronic pelvic pain, please know that you are absolutely not alone.
that's such an important point to start with.
Today, we're doing a deep dive in something that often goes unseen, the significant emotional energy that this kind of persistent pain can drain from us.
Right.
Think of it like this. We all have an emotional wallet in chronic pain. Well, it can relentlessly chip away at what's inside.
It's really remarkable how deeply our physical experiences connect with our emotional landscape, especially with something constant like chronic pain.
Totally.
While it's natural to focus on the physical feelings, the impact on our emotional reserves can be just as profound. Sometimes, honestly, more insidious.
Absolutely. It's kind of like running a marathon you never actually signed up for.
Exactly. That constant background effort.
Yet, even when the pain isn't maybe the main thing you're thinking about, your body, and especially your brain, they're constantly working in the background just to manage it.
Mm-hmm.
We've looked at some research, including findings from the National Institutes of Health, that really sheds light on how chronic pain can actually lead to changes in brain function.
That's right. And if we think about how this relates to our emotional well-being, we see that sustained pain can have very real effects. Effects on the parts of the brain that handle regulating our emotions, our memory, even our focus.
Okay.
A key area here is the amygdala. That's the brain's sort of emotional center. It can become, well, highly active when pain signals are constantly firing.
So it's like the brain's alarm system is just constantly being triggered, stuck on high alert.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And this constant state of alert, well, the information we've reviewed suggests it can actually weaken the brain's ability to effectively manage our emotional responses.
Wow. Okay, so that makes everyday stressors, disappointment, frustration feel way harder to deal with.
Significantly harder, yes. This really highlights an important point about energy expenditure. If the brain is continually processing pain signals and trying to regulate emotions under this ongoing strain, well, it's a natural consequence that our emotional energy stores, that emotional wallet we mentioned, get depleted.
Right.
And this isn't about willpower. It's just not. It's a biological response to a persistent challenge.
And the effects of this emotional depletion, gosh, they can show up in so many ways, can't they?
Oh, definitely.
We've seen examples like how simple, everyday tasks can suddenly feel completely overwhelming.
Or conversations that used to be easy, now they just feel draining.
Utterly draining, yeah. Even just holding on to hope can become a real struggle sometimes.
Exactly. And it's so vital for you listening to understand that these feelings, they are not a reflection of personal inadequacy or, a lack of resilience.
That's crucial.
This isn't about some deficit in your character. It's about your brain and body responding to a very real, very persistent physical demand. Recognizing this biological basis, that is truly the first step in starting to maybe replenish some of those resources in your emotional wallet.
Okay, so understanding the why is huge, but what about the how? How can we start to, protect this emotional wallet?
Yeah.
We came across some really helpful strategies.
Good. Let's talk practical steps.
Yeah, the first one that really struck me is this idea of setting emotional boundaries.
Ah, yes. This is such a key point. It involves recognizing that it's perfectly okay, actually necessary sometimes, to say no. Saying no to it demands on your time and energy, whether that's a social thing, an extra task at work, or even just a really difficult conversation.
Right.
And you can do it without feeling like you constantly have to explain or justify your decision.
Okay, so frame it as protecting your health.
Exactly. Remember, protecting your emotional energy is fundamental to protecting your overall health when you're managing chronic pain. It keeps that emotional wallet from being unnecessarily drained.
That makes perfect sense. It's
Yeah.
like we're already carrying this extra load with the pain.
Right.
We don't need to pile on everyone else's stuff too, emptying that wallet even faster.
Precisely.
So the second strategy involves something that sounds maybe straightforward. Journaling emotional fatigue.
Yeah, and what's interesting here is the simple act of just naming what is draining you.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to solve it all right then and there, but just acknowledging those energy drains, with kindness, without judging yourself. That can actually take some of the pressure off your emotional wallet. It's about bringing awareness to these often invisible costs.
Bringing awareness. I like that. And the third strategy focuses on creating these little Moments, tiny moments of emotional rest during the day.
Yes, those small oases, as you put it.
Yeah, we saw some lovely examples like taking a slow, deep breath, maybe putting a hand over your heart,
Uh,
or listening to the music that really resonates with you emotionally,
yeah.
or even just allowing yourself to feel the tough stuff.
That last part is so important.
Yeah, like sadness, frustration, exhaustion,
Mm.
not trying to push it away.
Exactly. Healing isn't about pretending everything's fine or suppressing difficult feelings that drain your emotional wallet. It's actually about making space for your whole emotional spectrum, even the uncomfortable bits.
Okay, creating space.
And let's not forget the power of reaching out for support.
Oh, definitely.
Connecting with friends, family, maybe a therapist or support groups, that can be a really significant way to help refill that depleted emotional wallet. You really don't have to do this alone.
Absolutely. Isolation just makes it harder. So for a practical step you can take, maybe even today,
Yeah.
I'd encourage you to just find a few quiet moments just for yourself and ask yourself this question. What aspect of my life feels most emotionally draining right now?
A good question.
It might be work, could be a relationship. Maybe it's even just that constant effort to appear fine for other people.
That takes a lot of energy.
It really does.
Yeah.
So whatever it is for you, just acknowledge that feeling. Maybe jot it down if that helps. But recognize it without any guilt or judgment.
Just notice it.
Yeah. Because, as we've seen, becoming aware, that is itself a form of healing. It's a way to acknowledge what your emotional wallet needs. You have every right to name your emotional pain and protect your emotional energy just like you protect your physical health.
It's really fascinating how often we prioritize the tangible, the physical health stuff over the intangible, like our emotional energy, isn't it?
It really is.
But recognizing and validating this emotional cost, that's such a vital step on your journey toward overall well-being and, getting that emotional wallet a bit fuller.
So today we've really focused in on this often unseen emotional cost of living with chronic pelvic pain and the hit it takes on your emotional wallet.
Yeah.
And the key takeaway, I think, is this. Feeling emotionally tired or drained or overwhelmed. It is not a personal failing, not at all.
Absolutely not.
It's an understandable sign that you've been carrying a really significant burden. Emotional self-care isn't some kind of luxury. It's absolutely essential for replenishing that emotional wallet.
Essential, not optional.
Right. Remember, every small step you take to honor your emotional energy is a meaningful step towards healing. And if this deep dive resonated with you, please maybe share it with someone else who might find it helpful too.
Yeah, spread the understanding. And maybe as you move through your week, this brings up an important question for you to mull over.
Oh.
Now that you have this clearer idea, perhaps, of your emotional wallet, how might that awareness influence the choices you make this week? About how you invest your time and your energy.